Hey, are you a high achiever who struggles with perfectionism? Do you get stuck in the cycle of overthinking? Do you do everything for everyone else because you think otherwise it won't get done? Do you feel like you should come with a disclaimer? Hi, I'm anxious. Hey, I'm Katy. Full disclosure, I'm not a therapist, doctor, or mental health professional. I'm just a career mama who also struggles with anxiety. For me, anxiety reared its head at the most inconvenient times when I wanted to be present with my family, at those high pressure business meetings, when I was laying in bed awake at night worrying instead of sleeping. I just wanted to relax and be able to have fun, and I know that you do too. What if you found tools to manage your anxiety? What if you knew how to enjoy life even though you are anxious? Look, it's time to put down that third cup of coffee and swap it for some lemon water. We're going to get control over anxiety so it can stop controlling you. Let's go, girl. Sweet Anxious High Achiever, welcome to the High I'm Anxious podcast. I'm so glad that you are spending a little bit of time out of your precious day to be with me here. I hope that whenever you come here that you find some value. And if you do, I would really, really appreciate if you would pause this episode, take a minute, and scroll down an Apple Podcast and leave me a rating and review. It helps other sweet, anxious high achievers just like you to find the show. And it also provides me really important feedback so that I can provide you information that is helpful to you. So if you would do that, I would really appreciate it. Thanks so much, sweet high achiever. Today, I want to talk about a tactic that I have used that I have found to be maybe a little bit different in terms of tools in my anxiety toolbox. And I've noticed myself doing it kind of successfully lately. So I want to discuss it with you here today. And that is finding one thing that you already do well or that you're good at and improving on it just a little bit. And I say that this one is a little bit different because usually, as anxious high achievers, I want us to not be so hard on ourselves about how we do things and where and when we can improve because I think that it's in our nature to be constantly improving. But that being said, you know that there are areas in your life that you could improve, areas that would maybe make a really big impact on your overall life. And so that is what I want you to focus on with this tool, adding this tool to your toolbox, and maybe even paying attention to where you've used it successfully before in your life. So I want you to think of one thing that you do well, and then I want you to find a way that you can improve it just slightly. And I mean ever so slightly, not a major change, just enough that that change will maybe make a difference. And then what I'm hoping for out of that is a ripple effect because oftentimes when you feel better in one area of your life, it has an impact on others. So I'm going to give you a couple of examples of how this has worked for me recently. One of these things has to do with drinking water. I have never had a problem drinking, quote, the proper or necessary amount of water. It's just never been an issue for me. I know some people really struggle with it, but not me. And so I was thinking about what I could do with that recently, and I've started adding things to my water to kind of kick it up a notch. So maybe just a little bit of ice to make it more interesting or palatable, or some fruits and veggies like some cucumber or some strawberries, or even maybe a little bit of mint or basil. Those little things can not only improve my water drinking experience, but add a little bit of nutrients and enjoyability to the experience. And I know this sounds so minor, but what I've noticed coming out of that is a desire to eat more veggies. And isn't that interesting? I feel like I do all right with my veggie consumption, could certainly use some improvement. Having better veggie consumption and better water consumption overall should lead to a better feeling in my body, more energy, which would impact all other areas of my life. So that is one example of one way that I took something that I already do well and made a slight tweak or improvement to it, and it had an impact on other areas of my life. Another example I want to give you today to think about is doing debriefs. So I have often done debriefs mentally after I complete a project, after I give a presentation, after I do a task, just to see, okay, what went well, what didn't go well, what could I do differently to improve next time. But what I have started doing is the same debrief, I actually write it down. And what I've learned out of this is that I'm more thorough and thoughtful about my debriefs. And then I'm also taking it a step further, and it's helped me to be better about planning out into the future. So actually plugging things into my calendar. So what went well about this project is that I started it early enough where when something unexpected came up, I had time built into the schedule for that. So I'm going to plan to do the same thing when this rolls around next time, and I'm going to build in extra time into my schedule to allow that cushion just in case something unexpected comes up next time. So again, in that example, it was all about doing a debrief, which I had been doing, and my improvement was to do it in writing. And I saw a positive impact come out of that in other ways. So, sweet high achiever, what I'd like for you to do this week is to think about what you're already doing well. It doesn't have to be what you're already doing really well, but what are you already doing a decent enough job at? Maybe think of things that you don't think about, that your anxious brain doesn't point you to, and start there. That's all I have for you today, sweet high achiever. If you haven't already joined my free Facebook group, I hope that you'll come do that. The link to join is in the show notes. It's an incredible community of sweet, high achieving women just like you who are there to support and encourage one another, and I'd love to have you there. That's all I've got for you today, and I can't wait to talk with you next week. Hey friend, thanks for being here. Did today's episode help you feel more in control of your anxiety? Did it inspire you to rest or relax? Or maybe it challenged you to really look at why anxiety is a part of your life? If so, I'd love to hear from you. If you would take 30 seconds, pause this episode, scroll down in Apple Podcasts, and leave me a review, I would be so grateful. See you next week. Disclaimer, I am not a medical professional, and this podcast is not providing therapy or medical treatment. Contents of the podcast are for informational purposes only and are not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always consult your healthcare provider with your health questions and concerns.